Hey everyone, I am music journalist Thomas Mooney, and you are listening to episode 106 of New Slang. I hope you all had a great weekend. We start off this week by being joined by singer-songwriter Brit Taylor. I feel like I came across Brit in the most 2020 of ways, and that of course is via Spotify. When you're making a playlist on there, more often than not, there's this recommended songs part at the end, and I almost always check those out. And I'm pretty sure that's where I first heard the song Waking Up Ain't Easy. And from there, it just kind of felt like it was popping up in these places that I was looking. I know it had a big spotlight on the Indigo playlist as well. At any rate, when I first heard Waking Up Ain't Easy, I knew I needed to see who exactly Brit was, and I reached out to see if she'd be on here. What I really love about the song is how Brit just captures this delicate restlessness and that melancholy mood. It warbles and moans, but in like the most fragile of ways. It's like old Patsy Cline songs. She's discontent. It's one of my favorite songs to find here in 2020. And at the end of the week, Brit is releasing another stellar song called Wagon, so be on the lookout for that as well. During this interview, we talk about being a morning person, which if that doesn't tell you the emotional investment of Waking Up Ain't Easy, I don't know what will, and how she utilizes that space as a songwriter, co-writing songs with Dan Arbach, being another one of these super talented songwriters from Kentucky, and what she has planned for the remainder of 2020 in relation to an album and so on. I think y'all really enjoy this one. If this is your first time listening to New Slang, I strongly suggest hitting that subscribe link. If you just did, I'm giving you a virtual high five right now. New Slang is over on iTunes, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Stitcher Radio, and basically any and everywhere you listen to podcasts. Go check out the New Slang merch store, grab a koozie, some stickers, buttons, and magnets. Any bit helps. I'll throw a link into the show notes. And if you're into playlists, go check out Tom Mooney's Cup of Coffee and the Neon Eon playlists over on Spotify. The Neon Eon is for all your nostalgic 90s country needs, which there's going to be more Neon Eon related stuff coming your way pretty soon. And then Tom Mooney's Cup of Coffee is a regularly updated mix of new Americana and country music. It's also a really great hint at who I have coming up on the podcast. So yeah, go follow those. All right, I think that's about it. Here is Brit Taylor. Yeah, I guess let's go ahead and start off with, you released the single Waking Up Easy, or Waking Up Ain't Easy, just the other day. And the first time I heard that song, like, you really capture this, like, gentle restlessness, because it is very sweet and gentle, but then, like, there's also, like, this incredible heartbreak and just kind of like a delicate dread in that song. Where did that really kind of come from? Where was that, I guess, like, the title of that song from?
Yeah, I wrote that title down in my notes on my phone in November of 2017, I guess. I was just going through a crazy hard time. I was in the midst of deciding whether I was going to leave my publishing deal and going through a divorce, and the publishing deal was my only job and only money. So I was just really stuck and didn't know what to do. My dog had just died. Car had just broke down, and typically I'm a morning person. Like, I've been up since 6, like, grab my coffee, sit outside, walk around a little bit. And I love mornings. I'm like that weird, annoying person that has way too much energy as soon as she wakes up. And I remember in November of 2017, I would wake up like smiling and happy because that's just natural for me. And then I would remember everything that I was going through and just fall back on the pillow because I just didn't want to deal with it. I didn't want to be sad. And for the first time in my life, like, mornings just became something that just sucked. And then I'd say 6-7 months later, Dave Brainerd and I wrote that together. And you're talking about how the music, and it's like super delicate, and I love old country songs, that even the old, like, Buck Owens songs, that they sound almost happy, but they're so sad. They're pitiful. They're so sad. And we were just talking about the stuff that we loved. And Dave loved the hook, and he was like, oh my gosh, we should do like this Willie Nelson vibe. I was like, yeah, with like Roy Orbison vibes too. And so somehow we just tried to combine like just a ton of stuff that we both love with no boundaries. Nobody was saying, oh, you can't do that because it doesn't sell anymore. You can't do that because it's dated. We just wrote something that we both loved and fit the vibe of the song and the meaning of the song.
Yeah, like you mentioning the Willie Nelson thing. Like I didn't even really think about it until now, but uh, the song "Last Thing I Needed, First Thing This Morning."
Yeah.
Obviously, like that's written by Gary P. Nunn, but like the Willie Nelson version is like the iconic version, and that song has that desperation too. That um, just like that dread. Like I keep on going back to that word because it is very much a like you said, if from what I get from it now that you're saying, how much how you loved mornings, there's something really horrible about having a space taken away from you that like you thought was untouchable in a way.
Yeah, totally. And it just goes back to when I was a kid. Like, I'm just a little farm girl. I grew up on a mountain in East Kentucky, and we always had like a lot of dogs or ponies or something running around that house, and we had a barn. And my dad's a morning person. And if I didn't get up early enough, I missed the trip out to the barn. And so it would just suck if I didn't get to go to the barn with my dad. So I think that just like turned me into this morning person. And it's just something I've carried with me throughout my entire life and into my adult life. And yeah, it just sucked that I was waking up and did not want to get up and didn't want to go outside. And it's just really not uh, like me at all.
Yeah, the when I was looking through stuff, I saw like the American Songwriter article where you've already mentioned it right there, but like in this quote that you have in there, uh, in the span of a year, I was jobless, divorced, had a broke down car, and lost my dog. Like that really just, um, if it's one of those things where if that's not a country song, you know what I mean? Like all of those things on their own are horrible, but then like I always feel like the worst moments in country songs are when you lose a dog, and
Oh, yeah.
that's like the you can recover on all the other things over time, but like the dogs, you always remember the dogs like the most, and that was like where I was like, oh man, that sucks.
Yeah, and that dog, he was a little English bulldog named Ollie. And I'd had him since I was a kid. He'd moved to college with me. Like, I mean, he was 12 and a half. He was old. Like, they're not supposed to live that long. And right when everything happened, he just started not being able to walk. And I was just like, no, not right now. You cannot even be serious right now. This cannot be happening because your dog's your comfort when you're going through something crappy. Like they know and they're there and they come and they lay beside you. And they're so sweet or they make you laugh. And yeah, so that was awful. And then my car broke down. So my mom actually had to drive down from Kentucky and take me in her car to the vet to put my dog down. It was the worst day. It sucked. That whole year just sucked so bad. And now looking back, like on divorce and the music that I got out of it, and like I wasn't supposed to be in that relationship anyways. Like I'm so grateful. I would not take back a second, but it doesn't change the fact that at the moment I didn't know that it was going to be for the best.
Yeah, you. It always feels like you don't ever see like the end in sight. Like it doesn't. You don't ever feel like you're out of that moment, and you're
Yeah,
like, when is it
totally.
gonna? It's never gonna end. Um, going back to the morning thing, is that like where you kind of do you write well in the mornings?
Yeah, I do everything better in the morning. um, I'm more creative, which I've read like books on creativity and stuff, and they all say that most creative people are not owls and we're messy, and I'm messy, but I'm a clean freak. So I feel like I'm a contradiction of a creative person because I love to get up and I love to write in the morning and read and take a walk around the yard without my shoes on. It's just, I love it.
Yeah, I don't know. I go through different phases. Like sometimes I'll wake up at 6 o'clock every morning. And it'll be like that for a few months or so, and then like there will be months where I'm like, oh, I'm not waking up until 10 o'clock or something. And
Yeah.
I don't know that there's such a just a calmness in the morning. What I always loved has been like when you kind of go like on like a family vacation or like around the holidays when you have a bunch of people in the house, and when you wake up early and you start making coffee and like the entire house is kind of quiet, and then like there'll be maybe one or two other people, and it's I don't know, like I feel like that's like the best part of the day is just
You're
like
totally
those
right. I think
those
that's
moments.
probably why I love mornings because I get my quiet time. Like nobody's up yet. You just get a few hours to yourself. And yeah, that's definitely why I love it. I'm just like walking around my yard right now, and I live on a little mini farm outside of Nashville. And it's just like so peaceful out here right now. And I know in a couple of hours, the neighbors are going to start mowing their grass and the goats are going to start hollering and dogs are going to start barking. But right now it's just beautiful.
Yeah. Does so like when you're writing on something in the morning, does it always is it typically something that you're by yourself, and then if it's something that becomes a collaboration or a co-write that you have to take to someone later, or have you been able to convince other people to, hey, meet me at 8 o'clock or whatever?
Yeah, so I've done the Nashville co-writing thing for a long time. So what I normally just have my schedule full up of co-writes with people that I love to write with, and I just get ideas. Sometimes they just pop in my head, like the Waking Up Ain't Easy title, and sometimes it's a title, sometimes it's a whole verse, sometimes it's a verse and a chorus, or sometimes just a melody. And then I'll look and see who I've got in my books and just try to see who is going to like that idea the best. And sometimes I get to co-writes and I don't have squat for ideas. And that's the beauty in co-writes, because your co-writer always brings something to the table too, whether it's like a cool guitar lick or maybe they've got an idea they're kicking around. So it's just, I don't know, it's all of the above. And I love all of it. Like either way that it swings, it's always really fun.
What's like your kind of like go to as far as like your setup? Are you like a pen and pad person? Do you have to have the laptop out? What's kind of your if you had to like the
iPad.
situations, the iPad out?
Yeah, I write everything on an iPad or a computer, but I am not a pen and paper girl. Oh my gosh, I can't read my own handwriting. It's terrible.
Yeah. uh, I always find that like my hand starts like halfway through, like it just starts turning to mush, and like
Yeah.
then if and I'm talking like even if I'm just making lists or something or writing down, just a couple of things I need to do, it's like halfway through the page, it's like what is this supposed to say? And then I have to like
Yeah.
I don't know reinterpret it or something. There's a
Same. I'm like, why don't I write pretty like other girls? Because this song is so good and their writing is so bad.
there's
Like, I
this
just save myself the criticism.
there's this Seinfeld, I guess, bit like during. Are you a Seinfeld fan by chance?
Yeah.
Okay, so like you probably know this one where like he wakes up in the middle of the night and like has this like really funny bit or something that he had in a dream, so he writes it down on like the on a notepad by his bed or something, goes back to sleep and like wakes up the next day and can't figure out what it says. And so then he's like trying to like get other people to read it, and it just like doesn't make it's like every time he asks someone it's something different. I
Oh,
don't know.
that's
That's
funny.
how
Yeah, that would be me for sure.
um yeah, like how long do you typically let something marinate like as far as the idea and kind of like getting it I don't know, like in that spot before you, I don't know, take it to someone else or decide to call it quote unquote finished?
Yeah, it's always seems to be different. Like waking up ain't easy. Stayed in my phone for months, and I don't really know if it's just that I couldn't bring myself to write it, or I'm like that's not gonna be, it's too personal. It won't be relatable to people, or what. And sometimes if I think like this doesn't make sense, I need to make it make more sense before I take it to somebody. So the next single that I'll be releasing, like I remember I kept singing that around the house for at least a good 3 months, and I was like, man, I don't know if this makes sense. And then finally, I couldn't figure out how to do it on my own, and I took it to Marcus Hummon, and he was like, yeah, that makes sense, and we can do this. And I'm like, oh my god, I'm so glad I brought this idea to you. Because I mean, people like Marcus Hummon are just pros. Like they've done it for so long. Um, they just do really. They just transform your idea, and it's. I always love watching that happen.
Yeah, like it. Something I was talking with, or something I was talking about with another songwriter just last week was because she was talking about, I guess like her new record had so much to do with this really intense period in her life and how um, it was like where we entered this pandemic and it felt like everything went on a pause, but then like she couldn't really write after that point, and it was I guess like what I was thinking about was how um, I guess she also said like there was she saw a lot of songwriters who were writing a whole lot of stuff during this period, and what I was thinking about was how um, maybe like songwriters or artists are kind of like one of two, like where either the songwriting, the process of songwriting is the cathartic aspect, and that's what helps you get over it, or you've like processed all of it, and then like the song is like the final step. Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally. And again, like it just depends on what the song is and what the day is and who I'm writing it with. Because there's a trust factor when songs are that personal too. Like you
Mm-hmm.
don't want to. I'm not going to take something that's like crazy personal to somebody I'm writing with for the first time. Um, unless they're, when I get there, there's just like this great chemistry, and that happens too. But yeah, I don't know. Sometimes it's a part of the healing, and sometimes I like to wait and get outside of the situation where I can look like really see it clearly before I start writing about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because when you're in the weeds, like you can't see past the weeds.
Right. Right. I feel like that's uh, I use that analogy or like Lost in the Woods a lot
Yeah.
because like that just feels like sometimes you do just get like stuck inside your own head, and
Mhm.
there's a that's like the obviously like typically yourself is like your biggest critiquer and like your biggest just the one who thinks, oh, you just convince yourself that like this isn't a good idea or something like that, and it just really I don't know that entire thing
Yeah.
is just a little weird. Sometimes
I
it
think
takes
I used
someone
to do that
else.
a lot when I first started writing. I would just get really stubborn about these ideas because I'd be in the thick of the situation, and like it had to be this certain way, and it's like no, it's like you're in there with co-writers who are crazy talented, and they're going to put their own spin on it. Like just chill out, man, and and let the song happen rather than like keeping such a chokehold that it has to be this thing. Because I don't know, sometimes you block yourself from doing some really cool stuff. So I think I probably wait a little longer now.
Yeah, the co-writing thing. I think like probably what I've learned most about. I find like the that entire thing so interesting, co-writing with people, bringing these ideas and all that kind of stuff, and seeing what comes out of that. But I feel like the biggest thing in all of that has to be just like the trust factor. You mentioned trust earlier about how
Hmm.
like how do you you're not going to take this idea to someone who you've never written with, or you know what I mean. So I
Yeah.
guess like what do you like? Is there how do you like I guess build those relationships other than the actual songwriting? Do you guys take do you take time before writing and like, you know, just have more conversation
Yeah, I
time?
think that naturally happens. Like it's you just get in there and start talking and as friends and stuff, and sometimes ideas will pop out of that conversation. If it's somebody I've been writing with for, even if it's somebody I've been writing with for years, you know, it still starts out as that friendship of just chatting and catching up and making sure each other's all right. And yeah.
Yeah, I was because I'm down here in Texas, and like here in Texas, for some reason, a lot of people think of like the quote unquote national Nashville co-write is like the, you know, these like what's happening is what I was saying was they think of it as like you guys have lab coats on or something and like are trying to like, you
It can
know,
get like that. I
yeah,
will say that it can. Like when somebody else is booking your co-writes for you, it can get very like, this is a job. I have to show up and I have to do this. But I will say, like, not having a publishing deal, because I'm a completely independent artist right now for the first time in a long time. And it is so freeing that I don't have any expectations. Like, I don't have to turn in a song and then somebody like not respond or respond with, oh, okay. And like not hear anything. It's just like, it's so freeing to like co-writing is more fun now. I feel like it doesn't feel like that lab coat thing. Because one, I'm writing with people that I want to write with. I'm scheduling my own crap. And I know that I can sound however I want to sound, and nobody's going to tell me it's dated, or I can't talk about it's too sad, or I can't talk about being married. I can't talk about being divorced. It's not popular. You have to, you know, talk about meeting the guy at the bar. And I'm like, what? I'm not 20 years old anymore. I don't want to write that.
yeah, like to me that's there's plenty of criticism to go around as far as what's on top 40 radio. I don't think it's like I don't think like anything is as bad as like the people down here think it is, because I'm like it's exactly literally the same thing happening here.
Yeah.
But like that's probably like the strangest part of it all is the that I feel like if I'm gonna get on my soapbox, it's the um like at what point do you stop singing songs about meeting girls at bars, like or like partying in a field or whatever? At some point, like you would think that like you're, you know, in your 40s or in your 30s, late 30s, like that just kind of sounds strange coming from insert name here versus, you know, singing
Yeah.
like I don't know.
Yeah. And I don't want to be negative by any means. Like there's plenty of a younger audience that like loves those songs and they want to listen to that. And that's fine. You know, when I was that age, I wrote songs like that. Like I have a whole catalog of songs for 20-year-olds, but I'm not going to sing them anymore because I'm not 20 and I don't relate to those anymore. Um, and I just grew up on country music that wasn't always written for younger people. I grew up on Patty Loveless is my favorite, and she had, you know, we ain't done nothing wrong. We've just been lonely too long, about an affair, and she had plenty of songs about divorces. And How Can I Help You Say Goodbye was about a divorce and her dying mother, and I loved sad songs even when I was a kid and didn't even relate. Like my parents never got a divorce. They were together, but they're like when you have a singer that can portray that emotion, it doesn't matter if you've been through it or not, like you feel that pain. And I loved sad songs. It's so weird. Sad songs make me so happy.
Yeah, like it's so I'm kind of infatuated with like 90s country,
Oh
that
yeah.
kind of era. And I like the other day I was thinking about how what I think it is like that's like the last time songs were like adult songs. Like you said, like Patty Love was singing about like divorce. There's a
Totally.
lot of songs from artists from that time about like real, genuine, adult, mature themes, and not like in a bad way. Or you know what I mean? It's not like
Yeah.
it's very much like all those songs you listed. Those were like top 10 hits, you know, like
Yeah.
so they were popular. There's a pop sensibility to them all, but they were also about like things that adults went through. And
Yeah,
I
real
don't,
life stuff.
mm-hmm. I
Like
just
I've been
really love
thinking
that.
about
Yeah.
the Reba song. What do you say in a moment like this?
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember that one?
Mm-hmm.
I've been thinking about that one a lot because, like, all the stuff that's going on in the world today, like, where are those songs? Because what do you say about some of the stuff that's going on to your kids? Like, we need music about real life stuff. Divorce is still what? It's above a 50% statistic now that you're going to get a divorce if you get married. Like, where are those songs for? I mean, they're out there. They're just not on popular radio, I guess. But I miss those songs.
Yeah, so do I. I mean, like there's um I have like a Spotify playlist of every 90s country song that was a top 10 hit that I just will put on shuffle. And yeah, like almost all of those songs are, yeah, there's plenty of songs like Watermelon Crawl, which are like fun, party songs. But
Yeah,
like there's like a balance, I guess. My whole thing is
totally.
like, I have nothing against any of like the bro country stuff or like the anything like
Yeah,
that, because I feel like if there's an audience for it. And like I
totally.
feel like my whole thing is man, it's so exhausting being that guy at the gate.
Yeah.
Saying what is and what's not right and all that kind of stuff. I would just,
Oh, yeah.
just listen to what you like. Um
Totally. Yeah, and you're right. There's all kinds of those party songs, like the Sammy Kershaw stuff, and they were so good too. There was just a balance, and there was a sonic balance too. I feel like everything sounded differently, and now it's a struggle if you sound a little different.
yeah. Now all your like this the songs that are on this record, um you do have like a lot of like really, I guess, like callbacks to a lot of like 60s Patsy Cline and Loretta Lynn. And I feel like there's even some like Muscle Shoals kind of that kind of version of R&B happening on this
Yeah.
record. Um I guess like where did you um start shaping this record to sound? Like I want this to sound sonically like these various things. And I guess like where were you did you go through a process like that of trying to, I guess, harness what was going to be the sonic palette of this record?
Yeah, there's a defining point for sure. I somehow, when I was just at my midst end of like, do I sell my house right now and move to Colorado or back to Kentucky? Like, what am I going to do? And somehow I got a co-write with, or got to go sing for Dan Arbach. And if you've heard any of his stuff, it's like it's modern, but it's a throwback to that stuff too. And
Mm-hmm.
I remember playing him some stuff that I'd written at my previous publishing deal. And he asked me like, well, what do you like? And I was like, well, I like, Patsy Cline and Patty Loveless and Loretta Lynn and Elvis. And he was like, well, why don't you write stuff like that? And I just remember being like, well, you can't. You can't. It doesn't work. That's not how this goes. Like, it's not popular. I'll get emails back from people saying that it's dated. And he was just like, no, you can do whatever you want to do. You can do anything that you want to do. And that's the first time I think anybody had ever said that. And the idea never crossed my mind. And I think probably because I was, 23 when I signed my publishing deal. And I'd never really been through anything traumatic either. So that probably has a lot to do with it. But a few weeks later, we were writing songs together, and he just really encouraged me to sing the way that I was comfortable and wanted to sing and write the way that I wanted to write. And I don't think that I'd ever thought about that because I was just trying to do what I thought would make me successful and my publisher successful, because there's a lot weighing on you when you have a publishing deal too. It's not just your success anymore. So there's a whole different level of pressure. Plus, you're finally getting paid to make music, so you don't want to lose that. So it's just a different pressure. And when that's gone, I think that my eyes really really opened up to what do I really want to do and sound like, and just let all the expectations go and just take the chokehold that I had on my career away and just let it flow.
Yeah, like you've used that phrase or like that, just being free, feeling like it's the where you didn't have like that pressure. That's really, I mean, I feel like that's like what unlocks the box, I guess. Like that, the lack of pressure to think that you have to, I don't know, fulfill other people's expectations. This episode is sponsored by the Blue Light Live and Tom's Daiquiri here in Lubbock, Texas. Like pretty much every bar and venue in the country, Blue Light 2 has been closed for much of the year due to the pandemic. What they've done, though, is adapt and evolve. And so for the foreseeable future, Tom's has curbside service. Monday through Saturday from 4 p.m. to 10 p.m., you'll be able to get your Blue Light essentials. That's daiquiris, beer, hand sanitizer, and snacks. What you'll want to do is call up Tom's with your order at 1-806-749-5442, and then you'll run by 1806 Buddy Holly Avenue and pick up your order. It's pretty simple. I'll throw a link to the menu in the show notes. While you're at it, head over to bluelightlubbock.com, click the merch tab, and get yourself some much-needed Blue Light merch. They recently just restocked with koozies, t-shirts, and caps. My personal favorite is this new shirt that they have in cantaloupe with blue ink. I know you're asking, what color is cantaloupe? Well, it's literally like the color of like a freshly cut cantaloupe. As someone who typically wears various shades of denim, probably gonna have to get this shirt for that much needed pop of color in my closet, but I digress. So to recap, call Tom's Daiquiri Monday through Saturday for some curbside pickup and visit bluelightlubbock.com for some Blue Light merch. All right, back to the show.
Yeah.
Now, of course, like Dan, I say Dan like I know him in person, but like Dan Auerbach, like the Black Keys, like his solo stuff. He's like, for me, like he's what I remember growing up is like listening to those Black Keys records. Is there like a moment like what do you have to do to like, I guess maybe turn that off where you're like, that's not Dan Auerbach of Black Keys. That's just a guy I'm writing songs with.
I'll be honest, I didn't know who the hell he was. I never listened to anything other than country music. And I was like, who are they taking me to meet? And at that point, like all my shits had been given. I did not care. I was like, whatever, I'll do anything. Like, take me wherever. It's not going to work, like just completely jaded and just like, whatever. And I got to the studio and there's, it's like awesome and super vibey and there's Grammys on the wall. And I'm like, I should have Googled this guy. And I just like had no clue. And then I had to co-write the next day. And I was like, yeah, I met this guy, Dan Auerbach, and I think he's like a big deal or something. I Googled him. He's in this band, like the Black Keys. And they're like, dude, you're in the belly of the beast here. And I was like, what? So then I panicked. But it was a little easier because I'd already met him without like really knowing or anything. But he's the coolest dude, and he actually gave me one of my first jobs after the publishing deal, singing with D. White, his artist. So I got to go on the road with D, playing acoustic guitar and singing background vocals, and he's just cool, man. He's the nicest, and I'm just super grateful that we got to write all those songs together, and it just really helped me realize who I was and what I want to do and just not give a crap about anything else.
Yeah. Like I guess like growing up, like he was always like the lead singer of the Black Keys. And it was like this really gritty, bluesy kind of like garage rock, kind of all that stuff blended together. And it just felt raw and, just, I don't know, energetic and lively. And it feels like now, if you mention Dan Auerbach, a lot of people associate him too as being a producer, and he's really been doing a whole lot of really great stuff as of late. And I think like people would probably be surprised that he produced like the John Anderson record and stuff like that, but like he kind of gives a I don't know, like some fresh air into reviving John Anderson as an artist, and that's really, I mean, it's important and it's really cool and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, totally. It's necessary. I feel like he takes like all the good things from all the eras and figures out a way to make them go together and be really cool.
Was there anything, I don't know, like super surprising that he does when he's writing?
Yeah,
That's
he lowered all the keys, and which I was like super thrilled with because I have a deep voice, like, and I always say I'm a lazy singer. Like I don't like to push too hard. I don't like to holler or yell, and I just like Patsy Cline. I like to sing deep down in the dirt. And he lowered all the keys and was like, lighten up, like let's lower this key. And I had always when I was recording music with other producers, and they would like raise the key, like push harder, like give it more oomph. And he's like completely opposite, which I was totally down with because I like to sing like that. And I just, no one ever told me it was okay. Everybody told me the opposite. So I had been, hollering and trying to raise the key and sing like Carrie Underwood. I'm not Carrie Underwood. I don't sing like that.
yeah, yeah. These I can see that being on that, like being that being a thing, because like a lot of these songs yeah, there's I can't think of a Carrie Underwood moment like as far as you
No, there's
really
totally not one. And I
trying to.
love her, and
Hmm.
that she, God, she's one of the best singers that there is. But I just don't, it's not my style, and that's okay. My mom always says you don't want to sound like every other Tom, Dick, and Harry in town. You want to have some individuality.
Right, yeah,
Have you
and-
ever heard that saying?
yeah.
It's pretty Kentucky, I
I
guess.
I love like one of my favorite things is like idioms and expressions and like all that stuff. Like I feel like that's um in a lot of ways that's like the backbone of, I think, like of country music. It's the um and like really of like Americans version of English, I guess, is all of those. Though I guess like there's a bunch of stuff, a bunch of slang that we don't know in Australia and England and stuff, where you hear them and
Yeah,
you're like, I can't tell if they're like angry or
I
if I
know.
should be insulted or but
Totally.
yeah, I don't know. I love. Do you you mentioned you're from Kentucky. Um, do you I guess like whenever you hear something back home that you're like, oh man, I've not heard that in a song. I need to jot that one down.
Oh yeah, and my mom's always saying stuff. I'm like, you just made that up, and she's like, no, and she'll figure out how to explain it to me or call a friend. Or yeah, Kentucky is got a lot of those little sayings.
Yeah, like, and it feels like obviously Kentucky's always been a major contributor to American music, but it feels like right now there's a giant, I wouldn't say revival, but there's a giant like push of really great Kentucky artists right now. Um,
Yeah.
what is that like, knowing that like, oh, like there's all these people that were around where I'm from making it.
Yeah, and they've always been my favorite artists too. Patti Loveless, Dwight Yoakam, Loretta Lynn. So there's I don't know if you've heard of the US 23 highway. It runs through East Kentucky, and it's pretty short. And all of those artists are from that highway, like all of them. Tyler Childers, Chris Stapleton, Loretta Lynn, Dwight Yoakam, Tom T. Hall. Like the list goes on. It's really bizarre. Like the joke is that there has to be something in the water along that highway, and I'm from that highway too. And it's funny, like my goal has never been I want to be rich and famous, and it's been like I want to be US 23 artist. And yeah, so growing up in Kentucky around all the love for country music was really special too, because I don't think that I would be a country singer right now had I not grown up in East Kentucky, because my family does not do music. Like they don't sing, they don't play, they don't. I don't even think my mom or dad ever listened to country music, and it was just purely because I grew up in East Kentucky that I got introduced to it.
Yeah, I always think like that's um, the level of success I want is, even though this probably won't happen either for me, or it may happen for you. I don't know. Is the I want the billboard outside of town, home of.
Nice.
That's like the level of fame, I guess, or success. I don't know, not fame, success. Success is probably better than fame.
Yeah,
So,
totally. Because if you get one of those, yeah, that means you're doing something right.
yeah, in I'm
I love
from
that.
I'm from Fort Stockton, which is like in the middle of West Texas, kind of down by the U.S. Mexico border. And I guess like the most famous person from there, if we have a sign, I think it's for a pro golfer who came from Fort Stockton. But other than that, not much. Um, yeah. So obviously, you said they joke about there being something in the water. What do you think it is? What do you think it is about that area that really has inspired a lot of y'all to become storytellers?
And if you go to East Kentucky, it's seriously like going back in time. It's a totally different pace of living than anywhere I've ever been. And West Virginia is a lot like that too. And I've listened to different podcasts like Why Country Music Makes You Cry, and it's a great one. And I think it's kind of that thing that, going through the depression and the coal mines, and um, there's not a ton there. So I don't know. Because I think when you've gone through hardships, music is really comforting. So I don't know if people are picking up instruments because of that, or because it's really family oriented. So you got a lot of front porch pickers. Um, I'm not sure. Maybe it is in the water.
Yeah. Um,
And there's just as many like crazy talented people there that, could care less about any people knowing their name, that are just as good as anybody on the US 23 list that we know about.
yeah. I think a lot of what had one of the things that I talk about with a buddy is how um, where a lot of great storytellers um, get their stories is like where they're not necessarily the one who went through who had been working like in a coal mine or like on a farm and like working these brutal hours or anything like that, but they're like adjacent. So like some of the best storytellers, like their grandfathers or their uncles, were the ones who really went through like these really rough and I guess like these really rough life experiences, and then like you as the writer are able to make that into a song or a short story or whatever the case is.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Um, Another thing you mentioned Tom T. Hall. So like he's got like a Lubbock tie, as far as that's where I'm live right now is in Lubbock, Texas, and the tie is so like Stubbs Barbecue
Hmm.
originated from here, and I guess like the story like he would always come through here and um, I guess hang out with like Joe Ely and Terry Allen and people like that. And Stubb, who was like the guy who did the barbecue and um, the live music there and all that kind of stuff. I guess like the story is that like Tom T. Hall was like a vegetarian and like he would,
What?
yeah, that's what I've heard, and that like he would always like eat the barbecue that was at Stubbs because he didn't want to say no. I don't know.
Oh,
So I mean,
yeah, you
or
can't say no
maybe
to Texas barbecue.
yeah. So I don't know. That's what I've always heard. So I bet
Wow, I
yeah,
hadn't heard that.
yeah. I don't know if it's true or not. I need to verify that, I guess. um, yeah. Okay. So when I was doing a lot of like I guess my background research here, I came across something that said that you were a second degree black belt.
Yeah, I am. I'm a professional ass kicker.
Well, I guess like that's something like I don't know, like I don't know if I've really ever read that on anyone's bio, and it's not like on your bio now. Um, I guess like how did you get into that? Like, how did you become a second degree black belt?
So my daddy is a Shaolin master. And he started teaching me self-defense when I was 4 years old. And then, you know, I went through stages where I didn't want to take karate classes because it was my dad and it wasn't cool. And, but after that stage, I mean, I took it all through high school and did tournaments out in Ohio. I know there's never any girls to fight, so my dad would just like stick me in sparring competitions with boys my age. And like I had to win because I was the instructor's daughter. Like you have no choice at that point.
Yeah.
Or you just make your dad look bad in the whole like class. But yeah, I love martial arts. I took modern harness, Shaolin, which is Kung Fu, and what else have I taken? Geez, Tai Chi. I loved it. I haven't taken it since I moved to Nashville. I think just because I can't. It'd be hard to take it off of anybody that's not my dad. You know, it's just such a thing between the two of us. But he still practices. He's still a badass.
Yeah, that's really cool. I mean, that's you saying like, you know, you can't take it from anyone other than your dad. That to me, that's like, yeah, you're learning all of these. I'm guessing you're learning all these like really great principles and obviously the self defense aspect, but it's like sharing time with your dad.
Yeah,
More than
totally.
anything else.
My dad's always got like the best advice, and he was such a dad's like a contradiction too. He's so, you know, a hillbilly, but he's super hippie too, and meditates and reads all these like I guess they're called self-help books, but just like about your brain. And he's always taught me how important it is to meditate and to set goals and have a good attitude. And I love my dad. He's awesome.
I've noticed that a lot of songwriters read a lot of things about like you kind of said, like the self-help. I feel like that's like really ties into like I guess like the psyche and like the trying to like understand the human condition. How much does that help your songwriting, and how much do you even does that come into it? Do you feel?
I don't know if it comes into my songwriting, but it definitely just comes into my life as a whole. I think it's so easy to get depressed and down and out about the way that things are going or when things aren't going your way. But if you just take a few minutes, like I'm not a fast reader. I don't read like a billion books a year, but my dad always said 2 pages a day. Like just get the book and read 2 pages a day of something positive. And that's kind of been my motto. And I tell you, if I'm super busy and I don't have that and I'm not got my hour of time in the morning where I just sit on the front porch, drink my coffee and read, I'm just not motivated. It's just hard to want to do anything. But when I have my nose stuck in those books that, you know, you can do anything, like you have to set your mind to it and let go of your expectations. And I think that when you start putting those things into action, other things in your life start to fall into place. Kind of that manifestation thing.
Yeah, and I think like just people often like don't. I like you said a lot earlier in this that artists are typically messy and stuff like that. I still feel like that's the romanticized aspect of being an artist or a writer or something. Because like even like things like that you're talking about, like 2 pages a day or that hour, giving a little bit of structure, I think just makes everything fall into place so much easier.
Yeah, it totally does.
Yeah. And also I just think that like reading, I feel like my mom was a reading teacher, so I feel like there's another little soapbox is like reading just helps in just like the little tiny ways of, you know, you expand your vocabulary and stuff like that, and it just kind of soaks in and makes you a more well-rounded person.
Yeah,
I don't know.
definitely.
I've been kind of talking with everyone about, obviously we're going through this really strange point in all of our lives with this pandemic and everything. How has that changed, or how has that changed like your, I guess like your writing routine? Has it been a lot more? Have you gone to like Zoom calls and stuff like that, or what's that like?
I've done a few Zoom writes. Honestly, like have just slowed down on writing. And at first it really bothered me, like, because I need to feel like I'm working all the time. Like, I have a hard time just taking a break. So I think at first I just was like, you're not working enough. What are you doing with your life? And now I'm just kind of leaning into it more. And if there's writers that are comfortable with coming out and writing on the front porch, then we've done a few of those. And if not, just giving myself the space to breathe and like come up with ideas and just, chill.
Yeah. I don't know. I always feel like a lot of these artists have done that. It's I guess like they've taken like I guess maybe a little bit of a step back to do like the collecting of ideas, like
Mm-hmm.
that part of the creative process. Um, have you or do you do any other kind of medium, painting or anything like that, photography?
Oh God, no. I am just like, my painting is as bad as my handwriting. Like, I can't do straight lines, like just messy, messy, messy. So yeah, I garden. That's another, I love to garden. I plant flowers and I got a vegetable garden. This year I did some fruit, and I have lots of animals. And so those are my two big ones. I love taking care of my little property and cutting grass and planting flowers and petting goats and dogs and
Yeah. I think like gardening is like a form of art. Because like I know like one of my friends, she lives in Austin, and her husband during this like really like retransformed their backyard, and it was like it sounds so weird to call that art, but like if I shared a Instagram photo, you go, oh yeah, that's a lot nicer. So I feel like that is like an artistic aspect of life, and
yeah,
um,
totally. And yeah, I'm sitting here staring at my garden now, and there's like, I don't know how many lilies, like too many to count, and I just love it. And it's really cool because you can see your work come back every year. Well, depending on what type of flowers you plant, but I plant a
mhm.
lot of stuff that'll come back every year. And so it's always like really cool and to see it come back and grow every year.
Yeah, um and that's that I feel that also ties into the whole you were talking about like if you're not working, uh you feel kind of like that little bit of that useless aspect. I feel like
Mhm.
people do that in general. Um when you have something that at the end of the day that you're able to produce to show in the form of fruit or vegetables or whatever the case is, I feel like that's rewarding, and that feels like you're actually working and not doing just nothing.
Yeah, definitely. I think that songwriting is so crazy because you don't, like, a song isn't good and it's not bad and it's not anything. It's just this thing that you made. And somebody might like it and somebody might hate it. But if I plant a lily and it's orange, I'm going to get an orange lily every year after that. You know, if I've done a good job and watered it and everything, like, it'll be what it is. And with music, it can get frustrating because it's not that there's no goal. I don't know how to explain it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Um, it's I guess like it's so much up for debate on like what you know what I mean. There's a lot of like middle ground as far as it's
Yeah,
not like a binary thing. Uh,
totally.
yeah. How has um how has this like pause like I guess affected what you've what like your intentions of like when you were going to release a record and singles and stuff like that? Has that had an impact on like the release of this upcoming record and everything?
Um, for a second it did. I was going to release in May because I was doing a big hometown show, and then I delayed it. And then I really just prayed and I meditated and just tried to figure out what felt good. And I just wanted a date, and I got a date. And, a lot of people were like, don't release any music, wait till next year. And I'm like, I cannot wait until next year. I cannot wait another year to release this record. I can't, and I've got this date and I think it's the right thing to do. And just trying to go off of gut feelings these days. And I set the date on June 5th and released it. And I'm so glad that I did. I feel like, it's not a super happy time in the world. And I feel like somebody might need Waking Up Ain't Easy to know that it's okay if they're having a hard time. I feel like we judge ourselves for being down and out, or at least I do. I'm like, why are you being like this? I judge myself all the time. But sometimes we just need to give ourselves permission to breathe and be sad. It's okay. And know that it's going to pass, but it's okay in the moment if you're sad.
Right. And I feel like also, this, for you, these songs are like about a very specific period, and you can't hold on to that for so long.
Yeah.
I feel like when artists have a record that is, about a very intense period in their life, they have to release it. There's like an expiration date in a way.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Yeah, I definitely wouldn't want to hang on to this any longer than I have. And, I'm in a different period of my life and the music's evolving, and yeah, it needed to come out now. And, I feel like, I did the right thing. It's gotten way more attention than I ever imagined that it would. So I'm excited about the rest of it for sure.
Yeah. Well, it's always weird too. Like, it feels like when you're talking with an artist, you're talking about like the past. Like, you're always talking about songs that are a little bit older, a record that was, cut the year before or something like that. Mm-hmm. And like, if it's as an artist, you're always on to the next thing.
Yeah.
What is you said like it's a changing and stuff like that. What is like what are you writing about now? What are you like excited about? Like, what's like the last song that you were like, oh, this is a song idea and I want to make this into something? What's like the last thing that you're kind of most excited about?
Oh gosh, there's so many. I don't know. I think that there's definitely a happier vibe to the next thing, because I'm happier, than I was when I wrote all those songs. And just writing a lot about life and where I am now, and writing about my little place, my little farm, because I love my farm, and just like writing about the things that I love and that make me happy. And I'm just super excited to put that on a record too.
Yeah, like are you going to? I guess you have to go the opposite way, where like a lot of these songs are all really like that. The sad songs that sound happy. These will have to be the other way around.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, it's been really, really great talking with you.
Man, thank you for talking with me and letting me ramble.
Yeah, I've really enjoyed it. Thanks for giving New Slang a listen. Hit that subscribe button, please. Be sure to check out Brit Taylor's upcoming single, Wagon, on Friday. Check out the New Slang merch store and episode sponsor, The Blue Light Live, and Tom's Daiquiri here in Lubbock, Texas. All right, I'll see you all Thursday for another episode of New Slang.